Your own understanding, truth under Babylon's imperialism. What up? Now, when I speak about this, please don't get offended. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to have your own opinion. This is my own opinion. Um, but I just need to express this, and this is dire actually for the fundamental beginnings of creating a foundation for the rest of our lives. I'm speaking to the indigenous. Um, so in the structure of society, you have man and woman, male and female. Now, for the indigenous, I just want to reiterate the fact that we have no foundation. So, with no foundation, you have no ground to walk on. With no ground to walk on, you have no grounds to have an opinion about the laws of the land. First and foremost, you cannot speak with emotion when you do not have control over the motion. Meaning, like I said, if you don't have control, if you don't have godship over the land, then whatever happens on that land, you are a victim of. You are subject to whatever ridicule comes from the lawmakers of the land. So no matter how much you cry, beg, and plead um, for whatever rights or for whatever distinct function you're trying to accomplish, it's never going to happen if you do not control that land. When you're dealing with heathens here, so so right off the bat, I'm going to say male and females have so much issue with domestication because first and foremost, once again, the foundation is nil. There's no foundation for you to stand on, so your relationship will not work. Secondly, your relationship is based on finance. It's based on capitalism. It's based on what can you do for me. So obviously, you're gonna look at another person as an opportunity uh, rather than someone who is going to be your partner or a comrade or ally. So you basically develop this competitive type of attitude to your domesticated partner, which is just asinine in itself. And the fact that you live this out and don't catch it is even more amazing. So, anyway, men and women are equally as capable as each other. Men and women are equally capable as each other. So whatever a man can do, a woman can do. So keep this notion in mind. So I'm pretty sure you can't get mad at that. Whatever a man can do, a woman can do. A man can use his mind, so can a woman. A man can use his strength, so can a woman. So, with that said, you have two different energies in males and females. A man has energy that promotes his masculinity and his manhood. A woman has her energy that promotes her femininity and her womanhood. So, these are two separate energies. They're separate because you two have distinction when it comes to energetic forces when you apply them to a system. So, you have male energy and female energy. We try to domesticate the two. We try to bring the two together and create a society based on the domestication of males and females, knowing damn well that they are individual when it comes to their needs, when it comes to what they promote from self, when it comes to their feelings, and their ultimate agenda as themselves, as their end of the species. They are themselves. So when you try to undermine the spirit of a woman or the spirit of a man by domesticating under the stipulations of capitalism, exploitation, greed, and selfishness. This is basically the overtones of society that we try to live under and build relationships through. So you say, okay, well, all these things might be apparent. So what do we do about them? Well, we go about establishing a foundation with the learned history in mind and with the understanding of energy in mind, the understanding of the process of a system and how it's more efficient when it's derived a certain way, when it's put together in a certain form or fashion. The functionality of it will determine how you put that together. So, once we create a foundation by reclaiming the land that we had taken from us, or at least establish territory for ourselves, once that is accomplished, the society we create will have a kingdom and a queendom as the structure. Two separate forces that come together as needed, that come together to complete the system. Two separate forces that come together. No domestication, because that causes a confusing situation. When you have emotions and persistent intent meshed together. Persistent intent and emotion. Always going to be a conflict. Men have persistent intent, meaning what we assert as a man is what we want to see into fruition. Women are reactionary in makeup. They tend to receive information, which is their role. They receive information. Men make decisions. Women receive information. And then in their mind, they muddle whatever information it is over and they come up with whatever they decide to express about said information. Now, there's always going to be conflict because the inspiration for either agenda, male or female, would be set for the specific gender, meaning a man will basically have expressions that are masculine in root. A woman will have her expressions that are, feminine in its content. When we put these stipulations, when men put stipulations on women based on what we feel women are or should be, that's where you make the mistake. Because women take that information and do this very same thing to men using their emotions. So men say, well, this is what should be, this is what we feel through our masculinity, a woman in our space should be, and should be like. And so a woman looks at that and says, well, shit, well, we feel the same way. Whatever we feel a man should be in our space is what we feel like they should be. That is shooting yourself in the foot before you even begin trying to have some sort of society. You can't do that. Human rights are synonymous with gender rights. A man and a woman each have equal rights. The right to be who they are. A woman might not want to be nurturing. A woman might not want to be a good cook. A woman might not want to coddle your insecurities as a man. They might not want to do these things. You place that role onto a woman, and she has to work out her feelings in regard to your demands. That's the cycle. It's ass backwards, folks. It's not going to work. So when we build a society, you have a kingdom and you have a queendom. You have the king of men and the queen of women. And a king is only decided by the men. So if you want to build a strong society, a strong indigenous society, you must respect the women. I'm talking to the men. You must respect your ladies, because as a result of what we have been doing up until now, your women are reverting back to the exploitive principles that the conquistadors have placed upon the indigenous community. So when they had human zoos displaying the indigenous, they exploited the attributes of the people, male and female. There's one particular female, which I mentioned in another video, named Sarah Bartman, who was paraded around, gawked at, misused, abused, not for her mind, even though abuse is abuse in any way, but for her body, for the way she looked, for the extreme body type that she had. And that was sad that an unfamiliar would exploit a person to the extent where she died so young because of the mutilation done to her, because of her attributes. So now, all this oppression throughout all these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years has made your woman give up on you and decide to go her own route, just like a child. So now the woman sees all this exploitation from the years and says, this must be a positive thing. So let me expand my physique. Let me hide behind makeup and fake accessories. Let me do all these things because this is what makes me feel less than human. I feel good when I have all of these attachments, all of these things that I used to be exploited for. Now I'm going to do it voluntarily, because that's what children do. I'm not calling women children. I'm saying women and children are to be cared for, protected, and guided. So don't be surprised when your woman acts like a child because she's not being cared for, protected, and guided. You're giving her all these demonic notions and hypnosis to digest and come up with a way to be her feminine self, which is unfair. If you want to be fair, if you want to have a productive society, women on one side, men on the other, in your society. Women can make the rules of their community, as do the men. But the underlying principle is that they are together in force. I don't know, take from that what you want. I know that positive energy and negative energy works well within the system when they are separate and connected to the unit, which begs for that connection and that separate set of energetic flow. It's like a car battery. You have two posts, negative and positive. You're not going to hook the negative and the positive post together on one line and think that's going to function correctly. It's not going to do it. That's what we're doing. We're forgetting that these are people with thoughts and desires and rights They're not property. They're not cattle. Stop treating women like that, and they will treat you 1,000% better. And it's up to the men, because the men decide this shit. And right now, men ain't men. I don't know what the fuck they are. And I'm trying to find out myself. But I know the indigenous better wake up real fast.